Welcome back. I wanted to take a bit of time to talk about the serverless framework and something that I may have skimmed over a little too quickly in the previous video. And that is the fact that serverless isn't just for Amazon Web Services. You can use it with a ton of things. You see that in the serverless create command, how we have all these templates. And we use the Amazon Node.js. There's also Amazon with TypeScript. There's Python. There's Java. There's all these other things. But also, if we keep going down, we see OpenWhisk, which is IBM. So IBM's web services. As well as if we keep going down, we see that there's also Azure. So that is Microsoft that offers these services. You also have Google. So serverless works with all these service providers, which is really, really nice. Another reason that I like showing you this method is because we're learning how to use not just AWS, but also all these other services that might meet your needs better. Now, since we got that through, the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my Rankly, which remember our node version here is 6.10, and because we're going to be deploying it from our serverless framework, we'll have to go back to our dashboard and remove this Rankly Lambda function because we don't want to create it here. We're creating it through serverless. So I'm going to go back to functions and just remove Rankly. Goodbye, Rankly. Your life was short-lived. All right, let's minimize this and talk a little bit about the YAML file. The serverless documentation is really, really good at explaining all of these. So I'm not going to take too much time doing that because each one of them is different, but you can overwrite a bunch of defaults that they already have. For example, in here, if we uncomment this, we see that we have regions where we want our server to be. If you live somewhere else other than the North American, you might want to change this so that the server is going to be closer to your users. If you keep scrolling down, you see that we also have environmental variables that we can add to our functions for maybe perhaps making sure that the secrets stay outside of our functions. And then obviously we've talked about the functions before. We have our functions that we define called hello, so we can access it with the name hello, and this can be changed to whatever. And it references the handler.js function. In the YAML file, the following are a few example events you can configure. So we can configure different events that the hello function will be triggered with. For example, we can do HTTP. We can do S3. So let's say somebody loads an image to an S3 bucket, like a profile image, and we need to, let's say, resize it. Well, the trigger is going to be the S3 image that gets uploaded, and then that's going to trigger the hello function to do something. And by the way, we're going to be using HTTP in our case, but I wanted to show you that there's different things we can do. For example, another one that I really like using is the schedule. And here I can say how often I want the function to run. For example, if I want a function to run every hour, maybe to check a stock market price, well, I can tell it to run every hour, and that every hour the function is going to run. And if you use an API like Twilio that sends you text messages, you can have every hour a text message that says the stock price is so-and-so, or the stock price has gone up 100%, you're now rich, something along those lines. And there's a lot of things that we can go through here, but like I said, these are all configuration items that you'll encounter when you actually have a specific need for a function. What we're going to do now is build out our function. But there's one last configuration item that we need to do with serverless before we have access to our AWS account. You see, right now, I've created this serverless framework that lives on my laptop, but AWS doesn't really know that this exists. I need to connect my account to this serverless framework so that I can write the function and then deploy it. So let's do that in the next video. I'll see you in that one. Bye-bye.